Everybody good?
Excuse me.
Oh, it'll record him, blocked in your view. I'm sitting in the front. Yeah, you got thrown out. You gotta reach the sign.
Notice of this meeting was properly given by the Board of Commissioners in a resolution dated and adopted December 18, 2013. Said resolution was transmitted by the town clerk to Jersey Journal and Bergen Record, publicly posted on the municipal bulletin board in the town hall and filed with the town clerk. Roll call, Commissioner Frias. Present. Commissioner Rodriguez. Here. Commissioner Vargas. Here. Commissioner Wiley. Mayor Roque.
Here. Before we get started, please stand up a moment of silence for one of our own, Riley Forte, who just passed away. Thank you. Please take a seat.
First item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the regular meeting of February 19th, 2014, and executive session minutes from August 17th, 2011, and August 15th, 2012. Do I have a motion to accept and approve the minutes?
Motion.
Motion by the mayor with a second by Commissioner Vargas. Commissioner Frias?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Vargas?
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley? Mayor Roque.
Yes.
Next item is payment of claims. Do I have a motion to approve the payment of claims?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Frias with a second by Commissioner Rodriguez. Commissioner Frias?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Vargas? Commissioner Wiley? Mayor Roque.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is receipt of financial reports for the month of February. Do I have a motion to accept the receipt of the financial reports? Commissioner Vargas with a motion. Do we have a second by? By the mayor. Commissioner Frias?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez? Commissioner Vargas?
Yes.
Commissioner Wiley?
Yes.
Mayor Roque.
Yes.
Next items are communications. We have bid results received February 13th for one 2014 Type 3 ambulance. Bid results received February 13th for snow removal. RFP results received February 13th for EMS billing services. RFQ results received March 11th for public defender. Bid results received March 11th for improvements to Veterans Park. And town engineer's monthly report dated March 13th, 2014. I'm going to read the titles of the resolutions, at which point the governing body will establish a consent agenda. Resolution R1, bingo and raffle, St. Joseph's of the Palisade Church, 50/50 off-premise raffle. R2, repealing resolution adopted on April 20th, 2011, restricted parking for handicapped residents at 6415 Broadway. R3, repealing resolution adopted on February 18th, 2009, for handicapped resident at 6606 Palisade Avenue. R4, repealing resolution adopted on April 21st, 2010, restricted parking for handicapped resident at 6014 Monroe Place. R5, refunds of overpayment of taxes. R6, Hudson County Board Tax Appeals. R7, refunds of redemptions. R8, refunds of premiums. R9, authorizing an extension of time to pay real estate taxes and service charges on Block 168.01, Lot 7.06, Unit 324. R10, transfer appropriation reserves 2013. R11, authorizing emergency temporary appropriations for the year 2014. R12, providing for an emergency temporary appropriation pursuant to NJSA 48:4-20 for a portion of snow removal costs during states of emergency. R13, extend contract for solid waste collection and recycling material for the period May 1st, 2014 to August 1st, 2014, or until the award of a new contract, amount not to exceed $53,369.58 per month for solid waste and $15,000 per month for recycling materials collection service. R14, reorganizing the Department of Parks and Public Property with the Department of Public Works. R15, authorizing the town of West New York to seek fair and open process in compliance with the pay-to-play statutes for the retention of services for the marketing of recyclable material. R16, approval of change order number 1 to 4 Cleanup Incorporated for 67th Street Road improvements. R17, continuing support for the goals and purposes of the 2004 Highlands Water Protection and Planning Act. R18, approval of professional services agreement between the town of West New York and Lisette Costello for public defender. R19, awarding a contract to Coyote Builders and Developers for snow removal on an emergency basis pursuant to NJSA 48:11-6. And R20, resolution authorizing contract between the town of West New York and Tamino's Towing and John Ames Towing. Before I take the comments, can we establish the consent agenda? Does everyone wish to place R1 through R20 on the consent agenda? Is that agreeable? Okay. Commissioner Wiley?
I'll be abstaining from R12 and R19 I would vote no. I just want to explain something that happened with the snow removal. And it's important to me. I really love that DPW when I was there. When it comes to snow removal, we're supposed to bid out for this job like every year, okay? So in other words, in case of emergency, there's big amounts of snow that have to be removed out of West New York. It can become very costly, okay? Right now, we're facing a bill for $88,000 for that snow removal, that they remove the snow out of town. To me, it sounds very high. I was a little shocked to hear that number. It's like anything else. When you call for an emergency, whether you call a plumber, it costs you another $120 an hour just for him being on an emergency. And that's what they're classifying this into now, as an emergency. Coyote Builders and Developers is the company that they decided to use. When you go for a bid for anything, whether it's like, for example, a towing contract, the towing contract requires that you have the machinery to operate and do this particular job, the towing. Whether it's storage space, or the required car space, etc. And the same thing actually goes for a snow removal bid. You're supposed to have your own machinery. You're supposed to have proof of that machinery to the clerk, whether it's your licenses, your registrations for all your vehicles, whether you have enough dump trucks, whether you have enough tandem loaders to remove the snow. And this emergency contract is just given to somebody. It's a conflict of interest to me because Coyote Builders, again, is already contractors of our town. As far as a contractor for electrical, plumbing, and whatever little repairs need to be made at Coyote Builders here in Weston.
Oh.
All right? And I really am very upset when I found that out. And the thing is also, the trucks that we use to do this, I realize, are not Coyote Builders. They're actually trucks, 3 different companies, if I remember. Okay? I remember this because the snow removal took place right outside my house, outside on the corner of 60. So I found that to be very disturbing, and I was finding that weird. How are they going to go and pay each of these companies? But this gentleman from Coyote Builders took the point to take this job on, calling up all kinds of different other people to get trucks there, and I guess working out a deal with them to pay them for the hours. Now, beyond all of this is one thing, but this gentleman already had bid for the snow removal contract, okay? And just to give you an idea, his bids for a dump truck with the labor was $99, okay, an hour. The other one for the tandem, which is the up one, which dumps the snow into the truck, he had $199. Now, remember what I'm saying, Coyote Builders now is billing the town under this emergency situation, which should have never happened. I would have found it more honorable if the gentleman who bid for this job already would have stayed with the prices that he bid for. But in return for the $99 machine, we're paying $275 an hour. And for the $199 tandem, we're paying $160. So it's $30 less. But when I add up the bid, if he would have stuck, he would have honored his bid, at least did that for the town, being contracted with the town. He already has a contract here. It'll show more that he was being honest and not looking to take advantage. But this is not how I see it. Okay? When I add up the numbers, we come $88,000. If we add up the numbers at his rate, what he should have billed at, it would have came. Now, here's another thing to add to that before I say the final number, what we were going to say. They also charged us for a plow truck. $85 an hour. Now, I'm aware that we have our own plow trucks here. Why do we need to take trucks from somebody else, his plow truck, when I have tons of employees that would die to have that all the time? Okay? Which the men aren't working here, and they're complaining already that they're not working. Okay? Also, they had 3 other guys in some of the other days, 3 shovel sweep laborers. they would be paying $38 an hour for each gentleman, okay? That is, I can't swallow that, because that's, again, our men here in West New York people not working in West New York and being paid. So to me, it was a waste of money. That was already, just on one day, it was almost $1,200 just for 3 guys to come work, okay? So the reality is, if we would have took that out and put that into our savings, in reality, we would have saved $38,000 that we will be paying right now. So I will vote no to this R-19. I think as the attorneys here, we have another attorney who's got a good reputation, that we should negotiate with this gentleman. Let's get him to go down. And let's pay what we should be paying, not being abused. And I think you're in a position to do that, being that we are contracting with this gentleman already in the town. And I don't see why that shouldn't happen, but that's my opinion to the commissioners. If you'd like to pull this from the agenda, I think it'd be a great idea to possibly work this price down, but $88,000 is an abuse to the taxpayer, especially the taxpayer.
Joe, what was the reasoning behind holding the emergency list?
The town doesn't possess the equipment that is so with regards to the heavy equipment, we don't have the manpower that we operated or the tandem truck or the truck. With regards to the one-day plow review, because of the number of storms, several of our plow trucks wound up in the mechanic shop with broken plows and broken pieces. So on that last storm, I think it was one, a bigger one in February, we were actually short a plow and we couldn't keep up. So we called him in for that reason. So that's why there's a plow in there. That's not the norm, but the back-to-back storms were not the norm. Just for the record, last year we did not use any outside heavy equipment, nor did we do it in 2012 or 11. So that first winter, 11, 12, and 12, 13, this was my group.
I don't think it's to reconsider that. I really think we should try to work this budget. It's a lot of money, $88,000.
Commissioner, so you're abstaining on R12 and no on R19, those are the only two. The consent agenda will consist of resolutions R1 through R20. Do I have a motion to move the consent agenda? Motion by the mayor with a second by... Okay, so prior to me taking the vote, Commissioner Rodriguez is going to abstain on R19. Which one? It's Coyote or 19? Okay, so Commissioner Rodriguez is abstaining on R19. I have a motion by Mayor Roque to move the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Vargas is a second. Commissioner Frias?
Why don't we, I got a question.
Yeah.
Commissioner Wiley makes a lot of promises on this. Maybe this is something we could put off.
The only problem is the only thing that I have here is we already provided the services that we need to pay. That's one thing that we need to accomplish. We're ready for what we have an extraordinary circumstance with the snowstorms that we have this year. I'm just concerned that some of the issues that Commissioner Wiley is bringing up, that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe we can negotiate.
But the thing is, don't we have?
We didn't know how much it was going to cost us, so now that we did, maybe this is the time that there's a way to negotiate. Let's see if we can get it refunded because that is a lot of money. I mean, it was an unusual spot.
I think we should talk about this more and see what other options we have, because you know what, makes sense to go back and see, how we can save money. Although we're ready to work,
With your permission, I will review it.
just let's go over the bill, let's review the bill one more time.
Not technically, not problem. Say what's going to be, I'll report back to all of you after the upset.
So that means, our Ralph and,
Either call it Lakewood or go to town. And then put a new one in.
so both 19, motion to table, our 19.
Motion to table just 19.
Well, still appropriating money for that particular.
Yeah, that is also a state requirement for budgetary purposes.
So 19.
Yeah. No, R12 and R12 deals with snow removal for overtime. That's a budgetary item. So we ain't spending more money for rock salt than we would have anticipated.
Okay.
We ain't spending more money for gasoline, mechanic, plows, overtime for DPW. That is all. That is internal cost as well as any potential external cost. So that is a requirement from the state council as to, for March or CFO budgeting purposes, that's a requirement.
Okay, so motion to
The one
table,
has nothing to do with the other.
table, R19.
Okay, the motion is by Commissioner Frias with a second by?
Second.
By the mayor. Okay, so Commissioner Frias is yes, Commissioner Rodriguez is yes. This is on tabling only on 19. Commissioner Vargas is yes. Commissioner Wiley, yes. And Mayor Roque is yes. So it's 5 votes to table R19. Getting back to the consent agenda, it will consist of all resolutions excluding R19.
Just to the Commissioner, I really suggest that you have some type of training for the gentleman, how to drive during the snowstorm, because that's how machinery gets destroyed when they come shooting on the block at 30, 40 miles an hour. You know, we have to take care of what we have. We don't have much here.
Can I make a note? We have a safety delegate, the mayor's responsible for a safety delegate. She's going around from, uniforms to the proper routes to wear, the proper way to lift and other things.
And one of the classes that we're going to get on our new GIF is a fleet safety. So all the DPW guys that do operate vehicles will be trained in terms of, pre-checks, maintenance checks, and vehicle safety. And we're trying to institute, and they come before you in the next couple of months, some policies with regards to motor vehicle check, making sure they're all properly licensed, with their personal life, if there's an issue, their obligation to report that to us, make sure the license is in good place. So with our new GIF, we are aggressively exploring all of the free benefits of training, and we're concentrating INEPT Tuesday, specifically on people that operate here. So we do get some property damage.
Anything with precise work is better than fast. And if anything, if you don't see in those classes, you can request it. We're ready to help you out and get you that.
We're going to start with the basics.
I'm going to take a vote on consent agenda from 1 to 20 excluding R19. Commissioner Frias?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez?
Yes.
Commissioner Vargas? Commissioner Wiley?
Yes.
Mayor Roque?
Yes.
Last item on the agenda is introduction of ordinance 1/14. It's an ordinance concerning legal services for the town of West New York. This ordinance was adopted for first reading by the Mayor and Board of Commissioners of the town of West New York on March 19th and ordered published. Will be further considered before final passage at a public hearing on April 16th, 2014 at 7 p.m. in the Commission Chambers in the Municipal Building in the town of West New York. A copy of this ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board upon which public notices are customarily posted in the town hall, and a copy at no charge is available up to and including the time of such meeting to the members of the public of the town who shall request such copies at the office of the town clerk in the town hall, town of West New York. Do I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1/14? Motion by Commissioner Frias with a second by Mayor Roque. Commissioner Frias?
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez? Commissioner Vargas? Commissioner Wiley?
I just want to make quick comment for them. Basically, I pray that, things are going to go well in the county. I'm praying that the knowledge is going to be very appreciated by all the commissioners and treated fairly amongst all 5 commissioners working for all 5. And that the billing will be done with respect for the taxpayers. But, things to be considered that we bill properly for all the work, which I assure you will, and that we don't continue to have any other further problems here in Westview. Okay? Thank you so much, Vincent, for attempting to come and help straighten out Westview. I will vote yes.
And Mayor Roque? Yes. This time, Mayor, would you please open the public portion?
I'm going to be opening the public portion. Each individual will be granted 5 minutes to speak. Last month, things did not go the right way. We're all professionals. We're going to conduct each other in a professional manner. If at any time anybody becomes disrespectful, I will let them know that they are. And if they continue the behavior, I will ask one of the police officers to escort them out of the home. We need to lead with government, so I ask you a favor to take it easy today. Please, you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Carlos Betancourt. I reside at 6305 Jackson Street. Point of fact, I want to ask this question, especially you, Commissioner, in reference to the situation with the snow removal. Did this go up for bid?
Mr. Betancourt, please address the
This
chair.
one,
Thank you. And, yes,
Mayor,
go ahead.
I'm asking you.
Oh, okay, so
Okay.
I'm going to refer now to Mr. Joe DeMarco.
It did not go up for bid.
Now, that's why it's put on as an emergency.
In other words, how would this, is this going to be awarded tonight without going to bid?
The job is already been.
I understand that, but of course, we had an emergency situation.
Okay, so if you understand
My,
that, then
my
you
question to
can't
you,
take
Joe,
my job.
hold on, Joe. My question to you is simple. Why was not this brought up for bid prior?
It was not put on as a regular part of contract that should have been.
Certainly. Now, another thing, in reference to DPW, you can dress them up with pretty uniforms and buy them everything you want as far as gear and everything else. But if you don't have leadership, you don't have much of a department. And that seems to be the norm in this town. Okay? So, that being said, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak.
David Barnes, 3259 Street. My first question, Mr. Mayor, is for Commissioner Rodriguez. In reference to the traffic lights on line number 4 Street and Hudson Avenue, what's going on with the lights?
On 60 seconds?
60 seconds.
Yeah. If I can?
Yeah, go ahead.
The permits were pulled for that. The problem has been the snow and getting the mark out from the PSE. So the weather keeps, it was getting in the way, hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks that will be ready. The permits were pulled and mark out so that when it's done with the other shoreline or whatever, we're supposed to do that.
Thank you. The next question, Mr. Mayor, in reference to street improvements, so the payments, I know we have a couple of streets that are getting improved. But in reference to fixing potholes and the new streets for the whole town.
David, it wasn't easy. I myself had a file on it. There were 7 of them on the Saturday and the 60th Street just after the storm. My tire blew up. I can tell you that day, Louis Canelo did a fantastic job filling the pothole. We're repaving all the streets, I believe, next coming couple of weeks, right, Joe?
The contractor wants to start mid-April.
Mid-April. What is it?
I believe it's at 4th Street.
Thank you. And my last question is to the directors of the Public Affairs Building here. there a director of the public affairs department right now? I know you're the only one, but I'm hearing that there's a second director.
As far as I know, no.
Okay, Tiffany Mercado, she has the title as department director of public affairs.
That young woman's, all the events she's doing it, but she doesn't have that title.
What's her title?
I'd have to check exactly how she's listed in civil service.
Okay, I think she was,
I mean, I think we had this discussion a year ago, right?
Yes.
When she retired?
right, because I'm hearing as well that she's doing recreation and public affairs, two separate departments.
She does do some recreation activities.
Coordinating everything. She's a helper.
All right, does she have any qualifications becoming a director for recreation? Has she taken any courses throughout the time working for the town of Westwood?
This is like a replay of the meeting from a year ago. That was the same questions you asked last time?
Yeah, but,
Oh.
Just
Just checking, because I think the answer last time was also, I don't believe there were any specific qualifications required for that.
I believe, in order to be in the civil service as a director of any department or director of recreation,
Not-
you have to have a qualification and take the test.
Not necessarily, it depends on the,
Unless if your grandfather did, you had experience
it depends on
with
the
the kids.
I mean, I can look at it, but I don't know, I don't have it right in front of me.
So would you think $60,000 is fair for a 19, 20-year-old?
I'm not going to comment on any personnel matter of that extent.
Okay, we have someone like Nicole DeFino has been,
Respecting all the people, please, let's not talk about personality, because
me personally, I would believe that, she's more qualified to become, the director of recreation. If you want to keep, that's my suggestion.
Yes, sir.
And keep, Tiffany Mercado.
I was going to say, as far as personality, it's not fair. You can talk to the board of commissioners.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Francisco Ferrero, 5206 Bergline Avenue, West New York, New Jersey. I want to make a quick comment, and then I would like to ask questions on something that's of importance to me. The quick comment is, Mr. Scarinci, your reputation is great. I hope you come in here and do help this board of commissioners out. Unfortunately, I think as a lot of all the people, you'll walk away. I mean, this what you're seeing today, this is not how normally the show runs. Hopefully you'll make the show run better, because we do have to hold on to next year's election to get rid of these commissioners. And I even know your job is you to, come in and try to make them look good, and hopefully your expertise will curb some of the wrongdoings that they've been going on for so long. But, so it's too late to fix them, but hopefully you'll be here as a guardian for us, the people, and with your reputation, you'll guide them correctly. Now, I want to ask of something that's important to me. This question, I'll ask you, the chair, you could direct it to the appropriate commissioner, which would be Caridad Rodriguez, and I'd like to call Mr. Angelos, the Director of Police Department. I want to clear up a situation of singletary enforcement. There are dead statutes in the West New York ordinances relating to flyers put on vehicles and posters put on poles and public property. Now, these ordinances have been there for years. They've never been enforced. Nightclubs, stores, anybody puts posters around town or flyers on vehicles, and they're not enforced. Dr. Boque, his commissioners, put posters on vehicles. It's just that when it comes to political adversary, then they use this statute to curb the freedom of speech of the people. And I want clarity on this. I want to know if this is going to be enforced to Francisco Ferrero and his campaign, to Whitey, to whoever. I want to see it be across the board. You can't enforce something on us and not let us advertise, but when Mr. Menendez or when Mr. Sacco needs to advertise something, it's okay for them. It has to be a law across for everybody. And I wanted to bring this up to the public's attention and to the commissioners here in a public meeting so I could get the clarity of what it's going to be. Is this statute going to be enforced? Is this statute not going to be enforced? Is the singletary going to be enforced only when the politician in power does not like the opponent when they're putting it out there? I want it to be across the board. Is Jose going to be able to advertise his freeholder or not? And Gotti will? You know, like, if it's going to be an ordinance enforced on one person, it has to be enforced on everybody else. And I want to get some clarity on this. If Mr. Angelos and Mr. Rodriguez can give the public clarity on this.
That would be your position, that's what happened in the police case.
Yeah. Probably get it better.
The Supreme Court made it very clear that speech is message neutral. So the particular ordinance, if in fact, and you're bringing it certainly to my attention tonight, so I'll look at it. Assuming the ordinance is constitutional and up to date and proper, the ordinance will be enforced. And it will be enforced for everyone, equally. And if there's anyone who has an allegation that the ordinance is not being enforced equally, then you should file that complaint with the administrator, or you certainly have the right not to do that. You certainly have the right to go directly to court to do that. I would request, I think certainly that you give the police department the opportunity to deal with it if you feel it's not being uniform.
So you'll review it and you'll give us what it's going to be, whether it's going to be enforced or it's not going to be enforced, and you'll recommend to the commissioners?
If it is constitutional, it will be enforced. So I'll take a look at it.
From my information, from my years around town, it's always been enforced, from what I know. What I remember, you would never see a poster or anything with my name on it. No way.
I have. In the past, I have plenty.
Of me?
You know, your campaign, Together We Can, everywhere, all over West New York.
You directed me a question to me, asked me running now. You would never, and I never allowed. If they did it on their own, they did, but not with my approval. It makes the town look ugly, and it's not neutral, like Mr. Scarisi said, and it's not fair. We have our ways, our own spaces to do our campaigning, and it should be that way.
Oh, okay, yeah, fine. If the law is going to be enforced, it has to be enforced across the board.
Our police department will be instructed, as far as I know, unless Mr. Scarisi finds different when he looks. They will be instructed to allow nothing like that, to go on any poles, on any walls, on any window. Well, inside a window. We can't go inside a person.
It's only on vehicles and on public property.
It makes the town look dirty. I mean, it's just disgusting. So, no.
Whichever way it is, it's always been allowed. It's always been the norm for many, many years. Politicians always have been allowed to do it, even, especially politicians. So if it's going to be enforced, if Mr. Scarisi takes a look at it, and it's constitutional, which there's issues there whether it's constitutional or not within the freedom of speech and commercial freedom of speech, which I'm sure Mr. Scarisi will be able to find out. And then I just want what's fair is fair for me, for anybody. That's all. Thank you very much.
Good question.
I'm Shirley, 119 Tyler Place, West New York. I'm calling about there's an ordinance in town about you have to be a town resident to get a job. I understand lawyers and other jobs can be taken out of town if they can't find one in town. But we have people who are not that, in the Department of Public Works and other jobs, not West New York residents. Now, either you have an ordinance that works, or you don't have an ordinance. What I'm seeing here is you're making the rules to suit yourselves, not for the people of West New York. That's one. Two, my family has been here 10 years after the Mayflower. We fought in the Revolutionary War. very refined Americans. And I see, for the first time, that the Liberty Bell, which is next to the glass house on Boulevard East, is no longer there. This Liberty Bell was put there under Mayor Davino's time. I see probably a very nice gentleman's monument there, but the Liberty Bell was freedom for all Americans, not just people from foreign countries, and that is not there, and I can't believe it. That should be there, and that person should be taken and put down with the Cuban gentleman, who is a very good person. This, to me, is an insult to all Americans, an insult.
I agree, and the Liberty Bell is not in my house, that's for sure.
That statute, the Liberty Bell statute,
Was taken down, supposed to be fixed.
and it was taken down and then it was not able to be located. So I don't know what happened when it was taken down years ago.
Was it stolen?
But right.
Was it stolen? I mean, that's something that all Americans. Well, then you should take care of it. That's a symbol of America. Freedom. We have Russia doing what they're doing over there with other people, and we don't do anything? Come on, let's actually have a Liberty Bell. It's an American tradition, and it's a point. That's where you got your freedom from, and everybody here.
I apologize, I misspoke. I didn't realize that.
By the way, Mr. Sherman, you are correct. And I'm going to tell you, I devoted 36 years of service to this country, and I do agree with you. So this is something that is going to get corrected, Brian. Thank you.
You've seen it?
Now, getting back to the residents' jobs.
Guys, please keep it down so we can have a little respect. Thank you. Go ahead.
Residents' jobs. Town residents get zilch in amount of jobs. We have so many people from out of town getting jobs here, and we need jobs for people in West New York. That's another thing. And I want that brought up. We have a union that doesn't have a contract. Less than 1% increase in their salary for the municipal workers.
I don't have an answer, Phil. What's this story?
They're scheduled to meet with Labor Council on April 2nd for negotiations. That's the latest update.
When you say Labor Council, is that the town or
Both. Both sides.
now? I raise questions different times here and that. The other day, I got a knock on my door early in the morning. I woke up and I came downstairs, and it was a Department of Public Works employee. This employee said to me, is that your garbage on the corner? I said, no, it's not mine. Oh, I have to check it, and if you're something, I have to give you a summons. Oh, we have a lot of illegal dumping in this town, and nothing's done. Nothing at all. Yet I have to be harassed, because I come here and I state the truth. This is ridiculous. With the employees. Getting to that, who runs the Department of Public Works now? Who's the official running that office down there? The leadership that supposedly did such a great job.
I just want to say, out of courtesy, 5 minutes are up. I would allow you another minute so you can finish your statement. Thank you.
I want to know who is running that department. Why am I being harassed?
I would recommend, if you were harassed, I would recommend filing a police report and see who harassed you so you can address it. Thank you.
Who's running the department? Besides, I know you're the head of it, but who's running the department?
You got Silvio Costa, and you got the gentleman at BPW.
What gentleman?
We got Angelito, also there with Silvio Costa. Is there a particular person you wanted to talk to?
Silvio Costa, what does he know about the Department of Public Works?
I can tell you that's something that we can talk after this if you like. But thank you.
It's
Your 6 minutes
ridiculous.
left.
I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous.
You might be right. Have a good day, sir. Thank you.
It's definitely right.
Just got a quick question. Is Silvio, has he attended any classes in the past year?
Things like non-discussed employees. They have a right to be present.
Has the director taken any classes since the last time we talked over months ago?
That's
the same
not
type of class.
discussed.
There's a law that's required that he takes classes to be standing in the first place.
As a law, only thing I know is before I can speak about it in the public meeting.
Who said that, right?
Okay,
Go ahead.
Mayor, we have the privilege of having Mr. Donald Scorinci in our midst at this time. I know his firm is here. Do I have the honor of working with Mr. Scorinci?
The one and only, yes.
Thank you. I must say I have read your blogs. They're very informative, very intelligently written. I'm not a colleague, I'm not a lawyer, but I know how to read. I have to applaud you on those blogs. They are well written. What I'd like to know, anyone that can answer this, Mayor, does the firm of Chasen, Lehner, and Lamparillo still have a contract with the town? They were assistant town council into the year 2012.
No, they do not.
They do not. Okay. Okay, great. Mr. Scorinci, did your firm represent the town in the matter brought on by Mr. Frank Ferrero against the ordinance that was passed last month regarding extending or moving the election from April to November, the school board election?
We handle that now, yes.
Thank you very much. Now, if something came to your attention that might be a conflict of interest, and even if it wasn't going to be on your side of the aisle that you could argue on successfully for your clients, would you be bound to bring that to someone's attention if there was a conflict of interest?
You'd have to give me
All right, I'll give you a specific. I mentioned that law firm, Chasen, Lehner, and Lamparello, because sometime before 2005, the Honorable Judge Peter Barisso, who ruled against Frank Ferrero, was on that firm. So, could that possibly be a conflict of interest?
They don't have a contract in Washington.
Right, but they did have a contract.
I think that would be remote, and I think you have to have some specific evidence to, especially to the assignment judge.
Okay, and I realize, I appreciate the latitude, I realize you're not in the court of law, I realize you don't speak for the judge, but may I ask you hypothetically then, might not the judge have mentioned this at the outset, that he used to be a client for a firm that has done, until recently, until a year and a half ago, did business with the town?
I don't think he would have had an affirmative obligation to say that. If he felt it was a conflict, he would have refused.
Without disagreeing with you personally, I just disagree with your reasoning, but I respect your reasoning. I respect. I'm not a lawyer. All right, secondly, what I'd like to get at is, in 1996, your firm represented Roseland, Fort Imperial, and the redeveloper agreement that covered all three development areas and includes that the town would be on the obligation liable for long and short-term tax abatements. And now you sit as counsel. Now, when you were arguing for the town of West New York against Frank Ferrero for an elected school board, I wonder if you're aware that with tax abatements, they pay zero in school taxes, zero. We have 4,000 units down there that pay zero, and you represented these people down there.
Since I represented Roseland Properties, I would be excluded from discussing Roseland Properties with you. That would be
okay. Well,
who would have to do.
All right. Well, then I respect my limited time, Mayor. I'd like to direct to the other counsel here, the other lawyer at the table.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The other lawyer.
You got 1 minute and 20
Oh, you don't
seconds.
Oh, you don't represent Scorinci Hollenbeck?
No.
Oh, okay. What is your name?
Joe Garcia.
Oh, well, sir, since you were sanctioned in 2001 for conflict of interest issues, I don't think I'd like to ask you. I'd rather ask the other attorney over here. What was my question? Yeah, my question is, is it possible conflict of interest to have a lawyer of Scarinci and Hollenbach sitting here that represented the town under the Alveo series term, that didn't represent the town, he represented Roseland, Port Imperial, and their interests, and now he's representing the town here, and he represented Frank Ferrero in an issue of moving the election from April to November. Colonel, I really need 30 seconds.
Based upon my humble opinion, I would say no, because the point in front of Judge Bariso had not any financial implication. It was a pure, simple election issue. So there was no financial benefit one way or the other in rendering that decision. So in that regard, I don't think there really was any conflict.
And with regard to the second question about the friends of Scarinci Hollenbach here today, the fact that they represented Roseland Port Imperial tax abatements, could that be a conflict?
With a lot of respect, I'll give you another 30 seconds if you can finish.
Could that be a conflict, since the school board gets zero in property taxes from the abated properties, and they're representing the developers, and they're representing the town, and not seeing more elected officials as trustees?
To answer that question, since there are no items on the agenda regarding Roseland or any former client, I'm sure Mr. Springston's office has a very good conflict check of any matter that comes in, and they will continue to monitor any item that comes before us, and that's why we do have such people on the contract with special liability counsel, because conflicts do come up.
So when more abatements come down the pike for Tally Mac, which now is, they would have to recuse themselves, wouldn't they?
It would depend on the circumstances.
Well, thanks for your answer.
Thank you so much for your time.
Patrick, I'd like to just say one thing.
Yes, sir.
I'm not Dave Sampson.
And I don't have a bridge to sell you either. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a suggestion that I would like to offer to the commissioners, which I think is an excellent one. And I mentioned this a couple of months ago at a planning board meeting, and it was well received. I noticed a couple of members, one of them actually commented to me after, and she liked the idea. I would like to suggest that when developers are given variances, as we know they usually are in this town, that the commissioners pass an ordinance requiring them to give something back to the town in return for the variances. That exists in Manhattan when developers are given height variances. They are required to devote a substantial amount of space on the premises to the enjoyment of the public. That's why you see so many outdoor parks alongside office buildings and residential buildings, not just commercial buildings. You see that all over Manhattan. You see indoor lobbies, you see seating areas for the public. And that's the law, and it's done because the developers have been given variances. We all know that developers in this town are basically given everything that they want, no matter how outrageous. And they take up every square inch of space on the property. And it's resulting, I think, in an uglification, if there is such a word, of West New York. That Meridian Park Avenue is an abomination. That building up by the A&P on River Road, the River Dance or River Walk, whatever it is, looks like a factory. It's amidst all these lovely little townhomes, and then you have this ugly building that takes up virtually the entire lot. And I think it's to the benefit of the people if the commissioners would consider such an ordinance. It would curb the overdevelopment. It would not make the developers happy, but I think it might make the people in West New York happy and I think that should be your priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Senior 61 Telephone Street. Mr. Escalation, I'd like to congratulate you for your appointment today in the court. I think that's one of the smartest decisions that the court has made in a long time. You are a tremendous attorney. You're one of the top government attorneys in the state. And it means a lot that you've taken the time to come by yourself personally to this meeting and guide the commissioners. But let's not forget history. Let's not forget back in 2011 that you were fired from this town simply because you were, not because of your qualifications, not because you were a bad attorney, but because you were friends with Senator Menendez, and the mayor here didn't agree with the senator back then. And they simply fired you, but you really didn't need the contract in this town. You're one of the top attorneys in New Jersey, so this is pennies compared to all the contracts that you have on the state, which you have won because of your qualifications and the job that you do. But like you, back in 2011, many people here were fired unjustly. A lot of things happened here that were wrong. And I hope now that you, that as the new attorney on the board, that you look into those things and try to bring justice back and try to correct some of those things that were done wrong. As a freeholder, I was trying to work with the administration back then after the election, and when I started disagreeing with a lot of the stuff that was happening, I began to be attacked in a certain way. I created a website, and all of a sudden my website gets hacked, and I had to go through 2 years of help. So I hope that now that you're here, please guide this board and bring some justice back and try to correct some of those things that were done wrong in the past. Thank you.
Danny Brothers, 556 International. Just had a few questions. My first question is, R9, it says authorizing extension of time. I know in the session downstairs you guys have talked that it was sold improperly and it didn't file the proper paperwork, so that's why the taxes were never paid. I was wondering, can you guys tell me who was the owner at that time and who is the current owner?
Let's look at the resolution. I don't know. I can tell you what the top of it is. Public record.
I know it's public record. I just thought maybe you would know since you knew all the other information about the property. Is it a Roseland property? Does Roseland own it? I just want to ask, did they own it before? Do they own it now?
You want me to answer the question? I can't tell. I think Mr. Walkman has it, or he got it for the public record, so you can go look at his property and go share it with you, right? Mr. Walkman?
Okay, I was just asking.
I don't.
I mean, if you don't know, I mean, that's fine. That's totally fine. Another question is a little bit of clarification on Patrick's question about, I forgot what Patrick answered about the DPW. Who is this Angelico guy, or is Silvio the acting superintendent of the DPW? Is he the director of the DPW?
Angelico is the assistant, Silvio is the director, and Commissioner Vargas is the commissioner for the DPW.
And is Silvio also a confidential aide still, or he's removed from that position?
He's removed from that position.
So he only holds the one position in town?
That's correct.
Okay. Just another question kind of off topic. Can anybody tell me the process of getting a handicap parking space in town? Like, how does that work?
That's a good process. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yes, you have to go to the police department, to the Department of Traffic, downstairs on the side, and they kind of fill out an application.
Okay.
The reason why the person needs
Okay, so what is there any restrictions on what type of person, who can get
the
it?
person has to be disabled.
Okay, so they
Yeah,
would
and
need
there
a...
is a committee that oversees how bad the disability is.
Okay.
And the person that drives, the person disabled has to be the one driving.
Of course, okay.
It can't be like the husband driving the wife.
So if it was classified by a doctor...
Yeah, no, and then we have a committee that oversees that. Whether they do...
Is it a committee here in town or a county committee?
Not here, and there's a doctor. as part of that committee.
Okay.
I don't have the names in front of me, but if you check with the director, the police department, they'll give you the specifics.
No, I'm just asking because my grandmother had filed for one back in, I don't know, September. It was in September, and she has been calling constantly. First they said we needed to get the handicap plate, which she did. Then she said we needed a letter from her doctor stating why she deserves this, and then okay, we did that. We need a letter to the mayor. We did that.
When did she apply, I'm sorry?
This was probably in September or October.
We have people waiting for years, because at the time there was a moratorium. The parking situation is
I mean, that is what I've been told. I've been told it's about a year, 6 months to a year wait.
And of course, depending on.
And but the reason why she actually called, and when she had talked to somebody, they had told her that the person that, I guess the doctor or whoever approves this, he was on vacation. And, she called again a few months later. She actually talked to a police officer. He was trying to help her, and we still haven't got nothing back. He said, oh, we're going to wait for this person because he's the one that has to approve it. Yeah, and I just want to know, is there anything going to happen, or, is he approving other people's, or what's going on with that?
He's on top of this, so go ahead.
We have a handicap parking committee. Consists of a traffic officer, myself, and the doctor. The doctor, unfortunately, could not make a lot of meetings, so we're in the process of trying to find another medical professional to help with that. What occurs now